Today we're going to talk about how we got our new apartment here in Medellin, Colombia. Welcome to How to Expat. My name is Sam and this is Tasha. And today we're going to talk about how we got our new apartment here in Medellin, Colombia. You might already know getting an apartment in Colombia, especially in the city of Medellin, is not so easy because the whole co-signer thing.
Especially unfurnished. You're talking about unfurnished,
exactly,
by the way.
Yeah. So we got a new unfurnished apartment mainly because we work from home now way more. We found that our old place was a little bit too busy, like the street was too busy, a lot of motorcycles. We were on one of the main bus routes, so it was just very, very noisy.
And also a little bit too small because he had his office, I didn't. So that was also like why we moved.
Yeah, and we have a little bit more green space now, which is good for getting out with the dog. So if you are a patron, you already have seen how our apartment looks like. That's like we have a Patreon channel. This is where we show a little bit more about behind the scenes and a little bit more nitty-gritty videos. So if you want to be a part of that and support the channel with that, the link to that is in the description down below. But let's now talk about how actually like the technical details, how we got the apartment. So first of all, I want to talk about how we actually searched for an apartment. So there's not really too good of real estate listings here. Of course, there's a big website which is called Finca Rise, which we used, for example. But a lot of those listings are not really up to date. The thing is, I'm a programmer, so I know how to see if the listing is up to date or not, but you can't really see it easily. So that's, it wasn't really too good. And even if they're up to date, sometimes they're already gone and different things like that.
And also the pictures are horrible.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know how they managed to take pictures so badly, but it's just like most of the time when you're looking for an apartment online and you see the pictures, you can't actually like understand where like is the office or like how it actually looks like, just because they're taken so poorly, like the lighting, and sometimes they even like zoomed out. Like, I don't know how they do it, but just from the pictures, you have no idea how the apartment actually looks like.
Exactly. So yeah, we also had some contacts we knew because of course we're in the expat scene, so we know some people and stuff. So we contacted a lot of people, asked them if they have apartments. That was pretty much it, how we searched it. Also, we did the good old thing of walking around, writing down the phone numbers and calling the people, and that was kind of a 30%. You get this kind of a good answer. Sometimes it's already rented, then the other times they don't even reply. So that's just the hassle of trying to get an unfurnished apartment in Medellin. So you want to talk about what actually happened when we actually looked at apartments?
Okay, so we went with different agencies just to kind of have a bigger picture. Like, not just like, we don't like to just focus on one, but several. So that's what we did, and we gave them pretty much exact like details where in like which area we want to be. And they still showed us, and not only the area, but like how many bedrooms, how big it should be, all those kind of details. Also that we don't want traffic in front of the house, stuff like that. They still showed us pretty much everything we didn't want. So we were walking around with that agent, and she was showing us so many apartments, which was great. But not so great was that she showed us apartments we didn't want, and we specifically said we don't want this, we don't want that. So it's not just that we wasted our time walking around pretty much the whole morning and seeing apartments we don't like, but also I personally felt bad to say we don't like this, we don't like that, because I felt like I'm being kind of bougie not liking those apartments, but at the same time they didn't meet our requirements, none of them most of the time. So that was pretty much like difficult kind of, because we didn't understand why they still show us apartments which are not in our budget, or like I said, not meeting our requirements. So that was kind of a little bit of a hassle because we lost a lot of time doing that. And also, like I said, the pictures are taken so poorly online, so you can't actually rely on the pictures, so you actually have to see the apartment. So just know you have to plan a lot of time in order to find an apartment that you actually like, just because, I don't know, everything takes a little bit longer here.
And the funny thing also was that we went to the office first, like we did with different entities, but with this one entity, with this one contact we met in the office, and they showed us different apartments we liked before we went out with them. And then 2 days later, when we actually went out with them, just one of those apartments was actually the one we planned beforehand because of some different reasons. So that's just kind of a cultural thing, like attention to detail, planning is not really a thing. You just have to go with the flow here. And especially, I think the realtors here are more used that people are a little bit more, let's say, flexible as we people from the first or developed world, or however you want to call that. So it's just kind of a little culture clash. We exactly know what we want and we know it beforehand, whereas Colombians, I think, are more used to going with the flow and also showing apartments that kind of way.
Yeah, they're more spontaneous.
Yeah. All right, after a whole bunch of things and we finally found the apartment we wanted to. Then the next thing came around, how to actually get this apartment. You have to jump through many hoops here in Colombia. We are already kind of privileged because we have a kind of a track record here. We speak fluent Spanish. We know the system very, very well. So it wasn't too difficult for us. We also had we get a lot of this question how you can get around the cosigner requirement, and we didn't. We have a cosigner that met the requirements. The requirements also, like, one guy said one thing, the other person in the same company said something differently. I know the rules, how they're written by the book, and we didn't comply with the rules perfectly, but it was more of a thing like, if you're fluent, like if you're liquid with your cash, if you have enough cash, and if you have some Colombian that is also quite liquid, then it's already good. It's kind of more like a feel thing, even though we didn't meet the requirement that was written in a paper. So that's just how Colombia is sometimes. So, but we jumped through those hoops. We had a co-signer that co-signed us. We are very grateful to have somebody that does that for us, a friend that we know. And then we showed our paperwork. It's kind of a couple of bank statements, yada yada, some things, and then it was pretty kind of straightforward after that.
I think that was like, it's our second apartment, like unfurnished, that we were renting, and this time it was so much easier than the last time, and that's because this agency didn't ask us to go to the notary. It didn't ask us to come by and they have to see the co-signer or anything, which we had to do the last time. So this time they just asked us for pictures. So they were like, okay, take a picture of your ID, front picture and the back, and with your face and your hand and stuff like that, and we could sign everything online. I don't know if that had to do with COVID, but I don't think so. So you can have a co-signer in another city and still be able to get an apartment. So that was great. So it was straightforward, and it saved us so much time not to go outside so many times like we did the last time before renting our last apartment.
So then after that, we got the apartment, and then another hassle came with the internet. So we had to, of course, install the internet. That doesn't come with an unfurnished apartment here in Colombia. So we tried to set something up with Claro, and they had some kind of weird system issue with our apartment already being taken and whatnot. And we had to have internet quite fast, like more or less fast inside of a week. And we tried to make it happen with those. We jumped through different hoops. We tried different people because the first person we talked to wasn't really helping. So we went to others. We did the whole thing. And then at the end of the day, it wasn't really possible. So we went to the other company, which is called Tigo. And then it was more or less good. We tried to set the whole thing up. And they actually, like, we could get it almost in a week. But so far, so that I had to go to work in our old apartment where we just left one table and one chair for me to potentially emergency-wise work there, which actually happened. So I was alone in an empty apartment just with one chair and one table working for the company. yeah, after that we actually got the internet. They told us in a couple of days, but then we just got a call from our porteria, from our security guys, that somebody from Tigo is here and they installed our internet. So it was just, sometimes we thought it will take 2 weeks, and then at the end of the day it was just 1 day without internet.
I think it was because I was so persistent, because we actually had like 4 days without internet, more or less. So, and being like working from home and not having internet, you can imagine, is not great. So the thing is that I was texting them every single day, and of course they're working, so during work time I had to text them, and sometimes they took hours to respond, like to reply, and it happened with several like clerks. And so the thing is that she told me, oh, it's gonna take 2 weeks, and I was like, no way, it can't happen. So we said in another video that you have to be polite but stubborn. And so that's what I did. And all of a sudden she said like, okay, I'm gonna talk to my boss. Never heard back from her. All of a sudden, like he said, the security called us, was like, yeah, there are people from Tigo. We're like, well, great. But we didn't expect that. So it was a whole thing. So just like we said in previous videos, think ahead and plan enough time to do such things. So because you never know if it's gonna be super fast or it's gonna take a pretty long time. So yeah, that's kind of, you have to include the culture into those process, because most of the time it takes a little bit longer. So yeah, anything to add?
No, I think that was pretty much it for this video. Thanks for watching. Again, we have the Patreon channel if you want to support this channel and get access to more behind the scenes videos. Check out the link in the description down below. That was already it. Hope to see you in the next video.